have is the hash. For the same reason, you can't recreate a person when all you have is their fingerprint. In practical terms, we can use these hashes to verify that the document that we've downloaded matches the original document that was posted on a website. This provides us with integrity. We can also use these hashes during the process of creating a digital signature, and these digital signatures are used for authentication, non-repudiation, and integrity. Let's create some hashes. We're going to use a very common hashing algorithm called the SHA-256 hashing algorithm. This will produce 256 bits of information that we will represent as 64 hexadecimal characters. So let's create a hash from a very simple text string. This text string says, "My name is Professor Messer," and there's a period at the end of that sentence. If we were to put this into an application to create a SHA-256 hash from that sentence, we would get this long string of characters that you see right here. Let's now make one change to this sentence. This now says, "My name is Professor Messer," but instead of it ending in a period, it's now ending in an exclamation mark. So there's really only one character that's been changed. This is a very common characteristic of hashing, where you make one minor change to the input text and the output hash is very different from each other. One of the things we'd like to avoid when creating a hash is to make sure the hashes are very different for all types of input. In practical use, we should never run into a situation where this hash is duplicated. If we're putting different inputs into the hashing algorithm, we should expect to see different outputs as well. If for some reason we do have different inputs and those inputs create exactly the same hashing value, then we've created a collision. In practical use, you're probably never going to run into one of these collisions, and your hashing algorithm should be created so that collisions are an extremely rare occurrence. Unfortunately, there have been hashing algorithms through the years that did have problems with collisions. One good example of this is the hashing algorithm MD5. This collision problem was found in 1996, and because of that, we highly recommend that you use a different hashing algorithm than MD5. Here's how this MD5 collision works. Here we have a string of input. This is text that we're going to put into a hashing algorithm. And we're going to take another string of text that's almost the same. You can see these almost match up, but every place there is a red character means there's a slight difference between each of these inputs. But if we take both of those inputs and put them into the MD5 algorithm, we get exactly the same hash. This is a collision, and this is the reason we no longer recommend using MD5 as a hashing algorithm. We use hashing for many different purposes, and you might run into hashing multiple times through a normal workday. For example, you may need to verify that a file that you've downloaded matches the file that happens to be posted on a website. You often
Everybody doing okay out there?
You're downloading very important files like a
Hey Zeus, you're good. I got you approval for a voucher. However, you can't have two exams scheduled, more than two exams scheduled at the same time. So after you take 1202, I can give you 1201.
Your hash matches what's on the website, and you've downloaded the same file that exists on that site. Another common use of hashing is to store passwords. Ideally, we would never store someone's password in plain text, and we would not encrypt passwords, because then someone could potentially decrypt and gain access to your passwords. Instead, we provide a hash for all of the passwords that someone stores. In reality, it's a hash plus a little extra information called a salted hash. This way, we're able to store everyone's password as a hash, which means we have no idea what the actual password might be. During the login process, the password you input is changed to a hash compared to the one that's stored on the server, and if they match, you've gained access to that system. I mentioned earlier that when we're storing passwords, we might want to add some additional information to make it more difficult to brute force. We refer to this extra information as a salt. This is random information that we add during the hashing process to modify or randomize the resulting hash. Every user gets a different random salt to go along with their password, which means if everyone's using the same password, we'll still see very different hashes stored for every single user.
Let's fuel up, Limo. Lots of people to tell about customizing and saving with Liberty Mutual. Those are mine.
We don't cut corners. Hard to find them with all this space.
There's a technique for reverse engineering hashes called a rainbow table. This is a pre-compiled set of every possible input and the series of hashes associated with those inputs. makes it very easy for someone to get a non-salted hash and very quickly be able to determine what the original password might be. But if you're adding a random salt to everyone's password, these rainbow tables will no longer work. This would certainly slow things down for an attacker that's trying to find everyone's password by performing a brute force. A rainbow table can find this information in a matter of seconds. Brute forcing can take days, weeks, or even longer to find someone's password. Let's take some user passwords, we'll add some salt to each password, and let's see what the resulting hash looks like. Let's take the password of dragon, and if we're not using any salting, this is the hash that results from that password of dragon. But now let's add some additional random text onto this password of dragon, and as we add the different randomization for each one of these, you can see that we have a very different hash that we're storing. If someone was to gain access to our hashed database, they would think that there were 5 different passwords being used, when in reality, there's a single password with a number of different salts added to that password. Hashes are also used during the process of creating a digital signature. A digital signature is very similar to a signature you might use on any other document, but this one is a digital version of the signature. It proves that the message that you received was not somehow changed during the process of sending that message to you. From that perspective, digital signatures provide integrity. The digital signature will also help you prove the source of the message. This provides authentication, and if others want to prove that the message really was sent by the person who says they sent it, we can confirm that with the digital signature. That's also referred to as non-repudiation. The process for creating a digital signature is almost the opposite as encrypting data. For a digital signature, the person signing the document will use their private key to create the digital signature. When that signature is sent to another party, they're able to confirm that that private key was used by verifying it with the public key for that user. If we receive a digital signature and go through the verification process and find that the public key of the sender is not able to verify the digital signature, then something in that document is changed. We can no longer trust the information that we've received. If you're using a digital signature process built into your email system, or you're using a third-party utility to provide digital signatures, then you know it's as simple as clicking a button or a checkbox to include a digital signature with the information that you're sending. But behind the scenes, there's a great deal of cryptography that's going on. Let's step through the process of creating a digital signature so that you can see what happens when you select that checkbox. We'll start with Alice, who would like to send a message to Bob that says, "You're hired, Bob." We refer to this original message as the plain text. Alice is going to click that checkbox that tells her email program to include a digital signature with this email message. Behind the scenes, the email client is going to look at the plain text of "You're hired, Bob" and send it through a hashing algorithm to create a hash of that plain text. The email application is then going to encrypt the hash that's been created with Alice's private key. And since Alice is the only one that has her private key, she's the only one that could have created this final digital signature. Just like a digital signature is a bit of information you add to the end of a document, we can do exactly the same thing with this email. So "You're hired, Bob" is still sent through the network in plain text. We're not doing any type of encryption in this specific example, but we do include the digital signature, usually as an attachment or at the end of the email. Bob now checks his email, and he's got a message from Alice that has a message that says "You're hired, Bob," and it includes that same digital signature. Now Bob wants to really verify that the message he received is really the message that was originally sent, and he wants to confirm that it really came from Alice. The first thing he's going to do is load that message into his email client, and generally the email client will recognize there's a digital signature and will perform a verification and tell Bob that this is either verified or not verified. Behind the scenes, what's really happening is that the email client is looking at the digital signature, and it decrypts that digital signature using Alice's public key. Remember that the keys are mathematically related, so if you encrypt with one key, you can decrypt with the other. The result of this decryption ends up being a hash of the original plain text. Now we simply perform the same hash that was done originally to the plain text to see what the results are. And if both of those hashes match, then we know that the digital signature verifies, and that not only is the document exactly what was originally sent, but we can confirm that it really came from Alice.
L-period care is gentle and powerful. L-period care.
The seasoned steak and avocado from Subway's new Fresh Fit menu. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
Blockchain technology is often described as a distributed ledger. This is a ledger that's available for anyone to be able to see, and its job is to keep track of individual transactions. One interesting characteristic of the blockchain is that everyone who's participating on the blockchain can maintain the ledger, and everyone has a copy of this ledger. Once changes are recorded in the ledger, those changes are distributed to everyone who also would like to maintain a copy of this ledger. This means we can use the blockchain for anything that would require us to keep track of transactions. This might be payment processing, digital identification, monitoring of the supply chain, or digital voting. First, we need some type of transaction. We might be transferring Bitcoin from one person to another. We might be creating a data backup and we want to track the process of that backup transfer, or maybe we're transferring a house title from one individual to another. Instead of sending the results of that transaction to one person, we send the transaction information to everyone who's participating as part of this blockchain. So every individual device of the blockchain that is keeping track of the ledger will also get a copy of this transaction. This transaction is then added into a larger block of transactions that will ultimately be processed into the blockchain. To complete the block, we add a hash to the block, and that provides integrity of all of the transactions that are part of this particular block. A copy of this block is now sent to everyone who has a copy of this particular and modifies one of these existing transactions, the hash is no longer going to be valid. And as other devices that are also maintaining the ledger see that a block has come through with an invalid hash, it throws out the block and confirms that this block has been modified. As you've probably seen with cryptocurrency and other applications that use the blockchain, this type of technology is one that we're able to use for many different purposes, and we'll certainly be seeing additional functionality from the blockchain in the future.
Recording in progress.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and take 10. Take a break. Yeah.
For today's SY0701 Security Plus Study Group. This is our pre-show. I'm making sure that things are working here.
All right, welcome back everybody to the party.
Everything looks super nice.
All of our cameras are up and running. We are recording. I've already recorded the podcast intro, but don't let that fool you.
Nice.
Clearly, I have forgotten
I saw that picture that Mike put in there.
Now, I have a checklist.
They spelled Microsoft with RN to make it look like an M for a password request. Nice catch.
To make sure I don't miss anything. I've gone
Yeah, so you got to really scan your email.
I know what's going on. We're going to go with
All right, so what we're going to get into now, I'm giving you a link
I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, chat room. Hope everybody's doing good. We've got all new
in the chat.
plus questions for you today.
This is for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Careers and Studies. A lot of you have possibly heard about this website because it was under a former name. All right. The former name of this website is now CISA Learning.
Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's okay.
New Learning Management System. So if you ever hear the word LM or acronym LMS, that's what it means, Learning Management System. All right. It replaced Federal Virtual Training Environment, which used to be called FedVTE. Has anybody heard that before? FedVTE? Okay. So during the Obama administration years ago, President Obama noticed that the United States as a whole, we were way behind in cyber. Okay? Like way behind. So what he did is he took forward this initiative. This was before you all being here for taking these courses. Okay? These courses came out of this pretty much for as a nation. Okay? Before, as veterans, or if you were GS, or if you were active duty, you could take these free cybersecurity classes. Now, believe it or not, all the curriculum for all of CompTIA and all of CCNA used to be on here. You didn't have to pay for it.
This has been a pretty good setup.
You guys are like, what? Yeah, you're paying 22 grand now, but back then, like 8-9 years ago, all this stuff was free online. All you had to do was log in with your CAT card or prove your identity that you're a veteran or working for the government. And all the curriculum was free. All you had to do was study, get the certificate, present it, schedule, get the exam, voucher, and go test. It was self-paced, right? I took advantage of a lot of it. However, when it switched over to CISA Learning, a lot of my certificates and stuff disappeared. It didn't transfer over. Yeah, it's gone. Luckily, I have printouts. But inside my transcripts for this, a lot of it didn't flow over. But let's go over. The reason why I'm telling you, this is a great tool for you, especially if you are getting a job with government agencies. Our S Shop gets Sec Plus for free. Yeah, they have to because it's part of their training. Yeah. And I would hope they would. I'm glad they do. But here you can get training, tells you about it. You can subscribe to newsletters. CISA has a convention every year. CISA and DISA, they kind of piggyback with CompTIA at their yearly or annual conferences as well. They'll have a table there. But it tells you right here, federal government employees and contractors. Right?
I need to get back to Scotland.
These U.S. Military personnel and veterans, and the general public has some access, but not as much access as these folks. All right? So even if you have people in your family, folks in your family that need training, they can sign up for a generic account and get some training, and they'll get a certificate.
We got 2 Minnesotas.
All right? You get 850 hours of training in what they call the NICE framework. You hear that on the CYSA Plus exam, that terminology. It is also certification prep for ethical hacking, certified information security manager, and CISP. Free. Did I say free? Oh, okay. All you need to do is log on. You follow the link. Right down here, you have to verify with a real ID. Has to be real ID on it, just like you do with the VA.
implemented.
and it'll let you into the system. Now, once you get in, you're going to see
To
this
crack Security Plus. Well, there are
once you
people
verify.
who learned some today.
So like I said, my transcript, my learning transcript, it only went up to 2022, but I have stuff that went way back to 2013, 2014. Like it didn't roll over, right?
And you can submit your question for our second.
But it takes you through everything through incident response, detecting everything, network topologies. You can look in the catalog. The catalog has tons of stuff. You'll get a certificate for everything that you train for from the CISA, Cybersecurity Security Agency. It will also help you in a way advance if you're working with the government or a third party member or contractor with the government. These come in handy. Okay. I also, if you look at my transcript or my training, I don't think it's in my certificates. Yeah, they didn't come over, darn it. But in my transcript, will help me lock down a job before. Where is it? Come on.
Larger things. You're often in a situation where you are. Yeah, this did
training and scene.
I wonder if my air conditioning is.
Yep. So all of this stuff stacks. It helps you, and you can put it on your resume. Okay. Now they don't give you badges, but this is what you do. The reason why I wanted to bring this to you because today for this hour, the CYSA exam, if you have not noticed, talks about a lot of dashboards. Do standard employees care about CISA or DoD? Not. You talking about regulars? General pop? Not really. Most of them don't even know what it is. But for the government community, we know and we applaud this training. It helps you advance. Okay. So we talk about a lot about incident response, and in that we look at a lot of dashboards. Already completed that. A lot of dashboards. So for cybersecurity incident response, I wanted to show you, they have two videos here. There's another dashboard that you'll see named on CYSA Plus called Security Onion. Has everybody heard of that before?
We can't take every misspelling that
Okay.
I have.
So Security Onion, along with I forgot the other C, starts with an E. It'll come to me. I got a lot of information up here. But between those two dashboards, it will help you find folks or threats in your system and help you parse that out and give you a plan. Okay, so before we go into the afternoon lesson, I want to show you just about 18 minutes long. It's 9 minutes per video, but it walks you through how you get to it and shows you what it looks like, because you'll guarantee have 2 questions about Security Onion on the exam. Okay, does skill we got
folks online, we've got folks checking in from everywhere. We've got screens are good. It's kind of bright. Probably bring it down just a little bit. Cameras are. I think we can do a live stream. I think we're about ready. So 45 seconds, Mr. Sinatra will get